You're now tuned in to the Desire to Trade podcast, a show where we bring you the best figures of the trading world and teach you how you can become a successful trader. This is your host, Etienne Crete.
What's up, guys? It's Kathy here, Forex trader and founder of Desire to Trade. Welcome to episode 75 of the Desire to Trade podcast. In this episode, I'm interviewing a guest I was so impatient to get in the podcast. You guys probably heard of him because he's everywhere online. Rob Booker. Rob is a Forex trader and he's been trading for several years on the Forex market. The great thing about him is he's also been helping a lot of people. So he knows what people need to succeed in trading. Rob is probably the most energetic trader I've ever seen. And he's putting all that energy on helping others and making an impact. This is really inspirational. In this interview, we talked about the transition Rob made in the past couple of months, as well as what he's doing to help traders and how he thinks traders can have breakthroughs in their trading. But what I like the most is how Rob is able to bring concepts outside trading to trading. That is really powerful. So I'll leave you on with this interview, and I'll come back at the end to tell you more about what I'm planning to do in the next couple of months. Rob Booker, welcome on the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really happy. I think you're one of the guests that I really wanted to schedule an interview with for a long time, but I'm super happy to have you today on the podcast for sure.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So we often ask the guests at the beginning, what is one quote that inspires you?
There is a quote I heard it first from Tony Robbins, and I'm going to get it wrong, but here is the basic quote. We overestimate what we can do in 1 year, and we underestimate what we can do in 7 years. And it means if we allow ourselves more time, we can accomplish so many amazing things. But many times, especially in trading, we don't allow ourselves enough time to accomplish our goals.
I love that. That's huge. And I think you've done a lot in the past couple of years, right? So just give us a bit of background of what you're doing these days and how is everything going for you?
Okay, well, this has been a big 2 years for me. I've been trading for 17 years. Some years are good, some years are bad. I made most of my money about 10 years ago when interest rate differentials were large, and I wrote a book about that. And then for about 5 or 6 years, since 2009, I went through a period of really big gains and really big losses, just what I call the roller coaster ride of trading. And then finally last year, I decided that I would run algorithmic or robotic trading systems. But this is embarrassing. I said this the other day to a friend. I didn't want to do it because it would make me a beginner again, and I was embarrassed. Mm-hmm. And it took me until August of this year in 2016, and I completely eliminated almost all of my discretionary trading, and now I run my trading accounts with robots only. And that is the number one single largest change that I've made.
Yeah, it's pretty big though. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. And I was very uncomfortable. I was so skeptical. I was worried. I was concerned that I would lose control. There's a part of me that loves the up and the down and the back and forth and the good and the bad and the difficulty with trading. And I think I was very reluctant to let that go.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, because it's changing your whole game when you go with algorithmic. Yeah. Well,
you become a manager instead of an employee. You become disconnected from the day-to-day responsibilities. And there's so many people that believe that if you are clicking the button, that you get to do the analysis, and they feel like a computer will never be able to do that as well. And that's what I thought for a long time, and I do not believe that anymore.
But are you less involved in trading, or is it
I'm almost
time consuming?
I'm not involved at all anymore. I was just telling you before we started, I have so much free time now. It's ridiculous. It's stupid how much free time I have. Today was busy, but I look at the charts once a day, sometimes not even once a day. I have so much more time now.
Pretty cool. That's interesting. So when I'm thinking of you, because I've been watching some of your videos before the interview, and when I think of you, I think about energy, because you're really, really like probably the most energetic trader I've ever seen. So where does that come from?
I don't know exactly. I mean, I know where it comes from, but then it brings up another question. So this sounds stupid, and I know that it sounds a little bit stupid, but I really love traders, and I love the risk taking and the adventure that all of us have gone on. And they're especially the beginning traders, the people just starting out, that have so much hope and so much excitement about the market. And they're just about to have so much disappointment, just like we all had. I love these people. I love traders, and I don't love trading. I don't enjoy it anymore. I like to make money, but I love traders. And so to answer your question, I think that my energy comes from, I love talking about success and performance and peak performance. I love talking about obstacles and challenges and overcoming difficulty. I love talking about getting a clear vision for what you really want in life and then not letting anything get into the way of that. I love those conversations, and I do not enjoy or like trading any longer. And that's a difficult thing to say, but I don't have to, because I don't do my own trading anymore. It's just all done by robots. And I have so much more time to set goals and to look at the more important things in life that have more meaning over the longer term. And I love that. And I love that traders are looking for more time so that they can spend time with their family or accomplish their goals or do other things, not just trading.
But I think this is a key point, because most of the principle in trading apply to other stuff than trading, right?
I think so. Do you agree with that? I mean, have you found that to be true?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Whether that's goal setting or patience or focus, for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can tell what trading does is it encourages us to take a lot of action. It encourages us to act as if we are in complete control. It encourages us to try to get immediate results. We can become addicted to it. It brings out the worst. If we're not on stable ground emotionally or psychologically, trading will bring out the very worst in us. Mm-hmm. But if we are stable, trading will bring out the best in us. And there have been so many of my friends and I who have become a better person because we've learned how to deal with our impulses. We've learned how to relinquish control. We've learned how to allow the market to do its work without us being involved. We've learned so many lessons about life through trading.
That's really well said, for sure. And one of the thing I heard you talk about was focus. And in one of your videos, you referenced one of probably my favorite book ever, The One Thing.
Oh, yeah.
So is this something you struggle
right
with
here
a lot,
next
to
to
focus?
Me. Yeah, right. Yeah, so this book is sitting right in front of me right now. I have it on my desk. I'm giving it to a friend for a present on the holidays. And this is a book about deciding what it is that we want. And then after making that decision, asking one single question: what is it that I can do that will make accomplishing this goal easier? The one thing that will make everything else unnecessary or much easier. And to use trading as an example, the one thing for me was, once I allowed myself to transfer my trading to a robot, which is not right for everyone, but it was right for me. It was one thing, and it revolutionized my results, my consistency. My stress was gone. My happiness was back. There was no more roller coaster ride. Every single problem, every single one that I had with trading was either gone or it was much easier to overcome immediately. And I think that often we avoid this question in our lives, first because we don't know the question, and second because we are afraid of the answer. That with trading, we enjoy the problems too much. We enjoy the challenge too much. And some of us are not ready to make money. We're still excited about the excitement, right? We're excited about the gambling. So I love this question. I love the idea of focus. I think that when we have a clear vision for what we want, and most people do not know what they want, but when I know what I want, I can then ask the question, well, what makes the accomplishment of that goal easier? And there is usually an answer for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've been guilty of that myself, but I spent maybe 2 years not like just trading and not reflecting at all on how I was doing. So I think sometimes people don't reflect on how they're doing, but when they can ask themselves questions, it makes things much easier, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I haven't thought about it like that before. But what you said really, when they can ask themselves how they're doing, be self-aware. And
Yeah.
sometimes I ask people that are struggling with anything, I say, could you stand outside of yourself, look at yourself, imagine this, and give yourself advice? If you could stand apart from yourself and look at yourself as if you were watching a movie and you were watching yourself in that movie, what advice would you give yourself? It's so easy to see problems in other people and so difficult to admit them to ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. Powerful. What do you think are the biggest struggles that traders face or that you faced in the past, and how did you overcome them?
I think impulse control would be at the top of my list. I don't want to speak for everyone listening, but if you are listening to this recording and you have struggled with impulsive trading or taking a trade that was not in your plan, that's impulse. And it's so difficult because trading is available all the time and it calls to us. And then there are so many people online that are talking about a brand new trade or talking about a trade that might not be part of your system or talking about where oil is going. There's so much temptation and there is so much talk online about the next big trade that we get excited about the one big trade that can change everything. And then we get impulsive and we take a trade. And I think that is when we start out, the goal is obviously to make money. And for almost every trader, the goal stops being making money and the goal becomes excitement. And as soon as that happens, we take trades that are not in our plan. We don't take the trades that are in our plan. We get bored with a strategy that is working and we change it because it doesn't make enough money and it is no longer exciting. And this is all about impulse control. And I think all success is about finding a routine and then implementing that routine on a stable and consistent basis, even through the difficult times. And that is boring. And it means trading is no longer enjoyable. And it means that we have to find some other area of our life for excitement. And most people are not willing to do that.
That's a really good point, I think, because too often we go with, we try to find excitement for sure in trading. And it's going to work for some time, but
right.
It stops after a while for sure.
Yeah, if trading is exciting, that's fine. I mean, some people do better than others. It's not for me. I found that the excitement was a problem for me. And it's hard to admit. I feel even I feel embarrassed. I feel embarrassed because I've been writing books and talking about the financial markets, but I'm not very good at controlling my impulses when it comes to trading. And I can admit that now. And so I would have in March of 2015, I would be positive $100,000. And then in April, I would be down $150,000 for the year. And then I would be up $25,000. And then I would be down. And then at the end of the year, there would be one set of trades that I got lucky on. And I would make, I don't know, $100,000 or something like that. And then I would close my trading out for the year. And I had just gone back and forth all year long with big trades, big size, lots of emotion, sleepless nights, worry, concern, anger at myself for not being able to stop myself from taking a trade that I shouldn't have, finding myself in a trade that I wish I was never in, not closing a winning trade that then became a loss, and then I felt terrible about, and then I felt guilty, and then I felt responsible, and then I would avoid it for a while, and then I would come back to it. And at the end of the year, I said, I'm not gonna do this again. And then I did it anyway. In 2016, I started the year and I did not want to relinquish the control because I knew that the moment I switched over to robots, it would be one system, one way, one method, small trade size, small gains, compounded over time, and I would have to start from the beginning. And it was so difficult for me to admit to that and so difficult for me to accept. But as soon as I did it, I've had so much free time. Like so much free time. And I feel like I have my life back.
Yeah, the way I see it is like saying a new trader that he has to make a plan, right? It's like the same thing.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. I think that we get really concerned with the terminology. And so some people say plan. I might say routine, that you do the same thing every day in the same way, that If you are a writer, the way that you write is to write every day. And there are not very many examples of anyone that does it differently and successfully. If you are a musician, you create music every day. If you are a parent, you do your parenting every day. You don't do your parenting all in one day and then avoid your children for 30 days of the month. You don't. There is nothing like this. There's a relationship. If you have a spouse or a partner, you do something every day. You work on it every day, just a little bit. But with trading, we have this idea that we're going to do one thing one time, and it's going to be the big, meaningful moment. And then we can just mess it up the rest of the time. And I've realized, it took me a long time, but I realized that consistency is more important than success, or consistency is more important than being right. And if I truly want to make money, you can call it a plan or a routine or a schedule. I have to keep a schedule and I have to keep a routine.
Mm-hmm. So what other struggles did you face, or do you see others traders face?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit similar to impulse control, but I would say changing the trading system, that we use something, it works, it stops working, and we change it. And the reason it stops working, and I know this is not true for everyone, but for me, when I was early on in my trading career, or even in 2009, when my big, fantastic $1 million carry trading was gone because the financial markets were crumbling, when I had to go back to discretionary trading and it wasn't systematic and I was doing whatever I wanted, I would trade a system when the market was ranging and I would make money. And then the market would begin to trend and I would lose money. And I would say, oh, I have to change my system. And I would become a trend trader. And then the trend would end and I would take a huge loss. Mm-hmm. And then I would go back to range trading and that would work for a little while and then that would break. And it was constantly changing my trading system because I didn't realize that every trading system is terrible. Every single trading system will have a problem. Yeah. There's no exceptions. And we say, oh, the trend is your friend. Well, no, the trend is not your friend. The trend is your friend for a little while, and then it will beat you up. And so traders will change. They'll use something, then it will stop working, and they'll get frustrated. And then they'll go back to the other thing, and then they'll go back to the one thing. And then they're always changing, and it's better just to, I know this sounds terrible, but it's better just to endure a difficult time and let it happen, because we can't avoid losses or difficulty. And I think too many traders are too concerned with eliminating losses from their trading system. They don't want to have a losing streak. Or if they have a losing streak, they stop and they quit and they change. Or they don't want to have a drawdown. So my robots, my trading system that runs, right now I make a consistent profit every day between $150 and $250 a day. But I have a constant, open, negative drawdown of $5,000, which represents 5% of my account. And so I have a constant drawdown and it's not going away. And it will always be there in different currency pairs. And I will always, in other currency pairs, be making $150 to $200 a day. Then by March, it will be about $500 a day. And it will be consistent, but there will be this steady, consistent loss in my account. And I just have to accept it. And it's just like anything else in life. You will have people at work that you like and some that you don't. And you have to have those people at work that you don't like. You can't fire them. You can't get rid of them. Or in a relationship, you're going to have some things you don't like and they will always be there. But you can't end everything just because there is some difficulty happening. You can't do that. Or in a business, you may have to have a line of credit and you have to bring in inventory with your line of credit and you will have to have debt to run your business. And that is just reality. But with trading, I don't know why this is, but some people think that we can build a trading system that doesn't have a drawdown or doesn't have a losing streak. And we are just obsessed with things that aren't realistic. And that is another problem I think that traders face, is they change their trading system because they don't want to experience losses. And they don't understand that losses and difficulties are a part of every good thing that is in our lives. And trading is no different.
Oh, yeah, totally. And you have to accept it. Like, there's no other option for sure.
There's no other option. You can just lose money chasing after something that does not exist.
Yeah, which is going to be really tough and really frustrating for sure.
Yeah, very frustrating and sad too.
Yeah. So the way I found out about you in the beginning was through the book, and this is probably my second favorite book, Millionaire Trader by Kathy Liens and Boris Schwarzberg.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So how have things changed since that time?
Well, it's just the system that has changed, but not the routine. So when I was interviewed for that book, many years ago now, 10 years ago or even more.
Yeah, I was
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2007.
when I was interviewed for that book, I was making money in two ways. One, I had this magic carry trade working in the background where I was trading based on interest rate differentials, and it was all the way systematic and 100% systematic. There were rules, and it was easy to follow, and it just made money until everything broke, and that was fine. That was where I made all of my money. I mean, 90% of my profits in trading ever came from that strategy. And then I was also doing the same thing every morning in the New York session, and it was a very routine-oriented trading method. And the only thing that's changed over the years is that I have had to learn the same lesson over and over and over again, which is find a method, get into a routine, and do that routine. And if you have a difficult experience, don't change your routine. Keep your routine. Don't change the routine. Don't keep changing the trading system. And that took me, it was about 15 years to stop changing my trading system and my routine. And I made money, but it was up and down and up and down and so stressful.
But it's still the same mindset, I guess. Still the same way of doing things.
It's similar. I think the first big change came 2 or 3 years into my trading career when I discovered that I could trade interest rate differentials. And this is gone. It doesn't exist anymore. But what I would do is I would buy the British pound, Japanese yen in one account and earn interest. And I would sell it in another trading account, and I would not pay interest. And I had a special deal with my broker, and I had this great deal where 1,000 people could open an account just like I had and not pay interest when they sold Japanese yen pairs. And the broker liked that because the Japanese yen pairs were all going up and we were selling it. And they decided to not charge us interest. And in exchange, they traded against us. And when our trades would go into a loss, they would get the money. But we had a trade in another broker at the exact same price going in the exact opposite direction that was making money. And that was my big, like huge realization was I don't need to pick the direction. I don't need to try to figure out where price is going. I just need to implement a system. And that was a huge, major development. Now that broke in 2009 during the financial collapse. I had to turn off all those accounts. I kept most of the money, and then I had to discover and go back to discretionary trading. And the second big realization for me was this year where I just realized that I could make money consistently and have more time for myself. It's not right for everyone, but it was right for me. I would just run a robot, and the robot didn't have to be perfect. It didn't have to pick the direction. It didn't have to hold a winner for a long time. It didn't have to cut losses off really short. It just needed to be turned on and left alone. And now I just maintain it instead of trying to pick the direction of the market and so forth.
And just so the traders listening know a little bit what we're talking about, what is your system doing exactly? Is it more trend based? Is it swing trading?
I built an indicator in 2013. It's a divergence indicator, and I call it Knoxville divergence because I was sitting in a coffee shop in Knoxville, Tennessee, having this amazing cappuccino. And there's a story, but I won't tell the story. Essentially, I was building an indicator while I was sitting there in Knoxville, Tennessee, during a trip I was taking across the United States. I was driving and sleeping overnight at traders' houses and writing a book and trading and building indicators. And so I was sitting in this coffee shop and I built this indicator. And it's a divergence indicator, which is very simple, and it's available for free if you just search for Rob Booker free indicator or Rob Booker Knoxville divergence free. It's a free download for a lot of different trading platforms. And it looks at price moving upward, but the momentum indicator moving downward at the same time that the relative strength index is overbought, or price moving downward, the momentum indicator moving upward, and the relative strength index is oversold. And it's an early warning sign, not a promise, just a suggestion that the market may reverse from its present levels. And during the day, it will simply, on any short-term or long-term chart, you will see divergences, and I call them Knoxville divergences. Well, in 2014, 2015, I built a robot that would trade those divergences automatically 24 hours a day. I never turned the robot on, but other people did. And then all of a sudden, I got an email from someone earlier this year that said, I'm making $1,000 a day and I'm running your Finch robot, which trades based on the divergences. And I said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm not doing this. Why am I not doing this? I built it. Why am I not doing this? And that robot is simply running on the 1 minute chart. It takes between 25 and 35 trades a day. It makes between $150 and $250 a day right now with a constant regular 5% drawdown in a $100,000 account. And I'm just gradually increasing the trade size every week that it runs as I become comfortable with my own robot, right? I'm just doing my own robot. I just become more and more comfortable with it. And it just takes trades 24 hours a day. It has trades that get into trouble or have a loss, and then they come back into profit. And then it has trades that close within 1 minute. And there's just, it's just basically trading all day long. And I look at it once a day or about 5 times a week. And I'll just make sure everything is running correctly. And I have a small group of people that I run these robots with, and we're all doing it together. And we all just talk about settings that we like or changes that we need to make or whatever else.
Interesting. So we'll definitely put the link in the show note for that indicator.
Okay.
So people can get
sure.
it easily. And Rob, so far, I guess you've helped a lot of traders to succeed or either become consistent, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, especially this year, as many of my friends and I have started to run the robots. So I've worked with traders for a long time, but I have never seen, this sounds like a commercial, and I don't mean it to be a commercial, and nobody needs to buy anything from me. I'm not worried about that. But this is the year where me and my friends began to make consistent profits using a robot and much less stress. And so we have a core group of traders. I call them the super robot traders. There's 7 of us. We're all running large trading accounts, and we're making between $200 and $2,000 a day. And that's a core small group. And then I have what I call a mastermind group of a couple of 100 traders. These are a group of people that paid money, and we do meetings online and in person around the world, and they come to my house. And all of these people, we're all running the same robots together. And there is a very large group of people making consistent money for the first time ever. And that's not a commercial. It's just to say they let go of the discretionary trading. They stopped learning trading systems. They stopped learning how to draw lines or put indicators on their charts. They stopped all of that stupid, disgusting, terrible, worthless, pointless stuff. And they just said, I would just like to make some money. I'm just going to implement a routine and a system. And it's like this. There are some people, a lot of people want to buy a car, like we want to get around. A lot of people in trading, instead of going and buying a car, they try to build a car. And they spend 20 years trying to build a car, and they realize later on, they go, I don't know how to build a car. And you look at those people and you're like, what kind of a dummy are you? Like, there are already cars that you can run and drive right now. And because you're so prideful, you have to build your own car. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Instead, why don't you just buy a car and drive it? In the world of trading, people say, oh, well, I'm not going to run a robot. I mean, I didn't build it, or even I give the code away. So I give them everything. I let them see the code. They build their own versions of it. They sell it to other people. I don't care. I'll teach you everything about it. And people will still say, oh, no, I'm going to do this myself. And it's the same as if you said, oh, I want to fly to Paris, but I want to build my own airplane. Well, what kind of a dummy tries to build his own airplane? It's so stupid. Yeah. And we don't do that in any other place in our lives. But in trading, we have some stupid idea that we have to be the ones doing it. And so I've decided you either want to learn how to trade, which I think is a mistake, or you want to learn how to make money. In the same way that you either want to learn how to build a car, or you want to learn how to drive a car, or you want to learn how to make hamburgers, or you want to learn how to run a restaurant and manage people who make hamburgers for you. And this is the great lesson, is if you want to be a profitable trader, one way to do it is to stop trying to build everything, stop what you're doing, and run a robotic trading system that already works, and then you get your life back. And then you're just driving a car and you get to where you want to go. And the focus in your life doesn't become trading. It becomes on using the profits from your trading to do things in life that you enjoy doing.
That's really insightful, though. But I think in the world of trading, that's a little bit more tricky because you see so many people getting scammed by either a system that people sell or something like that. So how do you think people should go about it? Should they create something themselves, like a system themselves, or should they get something online?
That's a really good question. And I think the answer to that is you have to spend the first 1 or 2 years of your trading career meeting people and learning who is telling the truth and learning who is lying. And you need to be able to verify it for yourself. And I think one reasonably easy way to do this is to, if you buy or get a free robot from someone, don't ever learn anything. Don't ever take anything from anyone that isn't showing you their verified live trading account, verified through an online system where there's no mistaking that it's real. And it takes about 1 or 2 years to go through all that, in the same way that it takes 1 or 2 years to become really good at anything. And that's my recommendation, is you just look around. I do 3 or 4 conferences a year that are free. No, you don't have to pay anything to go to them. I have them sponsored. And we just did one in Australia and 200 people showed up. And we did one in Houston, Texas, and we had 400 people. And they're free conferences. And I introduce everyone. I speak for maybe an hour. And everybody else for 2 days, I bring in speakers that show their live account, show the way they do things. And you can just learn from those people. And it doesn't cost anything. And I think there's something really great in the world of trading, which is you have a lot of free stuff available to you.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, you spend a year or 2 years, you download a lot of free things, you see what works for you, you meet people who are showing their real account, and then you say, okay, I'm going to do what that person's doing. And yes, it is difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to find who's telling the truth, but you can do it.
And what would you say to people who are super impatient? Like they feel they have to make money right now.
Well, then you're done for. Forget it. You might as well just burn your money. It's impossible. You can't do it. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You can't learn to fly a plane tonight. You can't learn to drive a car in 15 minutes. You can't learn to do anything worth doing quickly. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's period. The end. It won't happen. It's impossible. Don't even think about it that way. And if you want to do it really quickly, you might as well just not do it at all. You might as well just go buy a lottery ticket. It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. I've never met one person ever, not one, who learned it quickly and made a lot of money in a really quick, short period of time and then kept it, ever.
Yeah. And that's the last part you mentioned, right? Kept it. That's the
right.
Where the problems lie. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who makes 100% a month. Well, he's only been doing it for 4 months. Yeah. And this month he's already having a terrible month. It's just awful. It's terrible. It's worse than anything he could possibly imagine. So what's the point? Like you want it really fast. Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, but I'm glad we talk about this because I think there's a big problem with expectation in trading, right? People expect to have some sort of percentage per month.
Yeah.
Or they expect to make it quickly or to be able to leave their job like next week.
Yeah. There's an expectation problem with life, with everything. I talk to people all the time that say, I downloaded the files, the free indicator files. I don't know what I'm doing. I need immediate assistance. And I said, well, have you watched videos about MetaTrader? No, I was thinking that you could help, and I'm happy to help. And so I help a little bit, and then I say, just go watch the videos. And we all want what we want, and we want it fast. We want it quickly. We want it immediately. And that is simply not realistic, and it's not possible, and it leads to all kinds of problems later.
Yeah, for sure.
It's sad though.
Yeah,
it's very sad.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think people are going to have a lot of wisdom in this interview, but anything else you want to mention or any advice you have for traders?
Well, first of all, if you have a question about what you've heard, you can send me a text message. I get about 100 text messages a day from traders around the world. And that number is 304-281-8332. If you use WhatsApp, you can just put a +1 304-281-8332. You can ask me a question and say, hello, that's my real phone, and I'm happy to hear from you. I get so many ideas, and I really love hearing from you. That's one thing I would love to say. And then the other thing I would say is this book that you and I love so much, The One Thing, that is a absolutely spectacular book. It's a book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. The book Mastery by George Leonard is the guidebook. It's a great short book about becoming really good and proficient at one thing. And that's Mastery by George Leonard. And then I would encourage everyone to read, and this sounds really strange, but Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, which is a book about having a deeper purpose in life and something deep inside that you're striving for that is not related to money and not related to trading. And I would encourage everyone, if you get your mind right, the trading comes much easier. But if you seek for trading first, it's going to be difficult for the rest of your life.
Interesting. So how can people find you?
They could go to robbooker.com, ROBBOOKER.com. There's lots of free stuff on the website. You can find me on YouTube if you search for Rob Booker. And I'm launching a brand new podcast next in 2017.
Oh.
And if you go to the website or you do all that stuff, you'll get more information about that podcast. I'm going to go to a less frequent recording schedule and do some things that are only about success, not so much about trading anymore, but I'm going to do some episodes about success and profiling the stories of successful people throughout history and the tools that they used, the strategies they employed, the routines that they had, the mindset that they used. And then I think those lessons can be extrapolated and used for traders and non-traders alike.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's probably going to be one of my podcasts I'll tune into for sure in next year.
I appreciate that. That's very nice.
Yeah. So, and what kind of goal do you have for the future? Apart from the podcast.
I was just thinking, it's so funny you said this. I was reading a quote from Peter Thiel, the author of 0 to 1 or 0 to, I don't remember. What a great book it was. Yeah, 0 to 1. What a great book. And he said, if you have a 10-year goal, why is it that you can't accomplish that in 6 months? And I realized today, I don't have a 10-year goal anymore. And I think I need to think about that. My big goal for 2017 is to get to $500 a day or $1,000 a day with the robots, which is every week I slowly increase my trade size. That's it. I'm on track for that. I'm doing everything I can do to reach that goal. I have a goal to spend 10 hours of uninterrupted time with my children each week. That's undivided attention, just me, just the children, no electronics, just conversation, spending time with each other. That's my other big goal. But long term, I think it's time for me to start thinking about that again.
Yeah, possibly. And what is your main motivation to either spend time with your kid or help traders?
I don't know. I can't explain it. I have a guilt about my children. I grew up not having a lot of time with my father. And I feel this sense of guilt and responsibility to make sure that they know that I am close to them. And that's good. I mean, it's good, hopefully good for them and good for me. I want them to remember spending time with me. And then with traders, I have this lifelong love of people. I'm not close to a lot of people, not like close friends with very many people, but I have a huge number of people around the world that reach out to me for just really short periods of time. We come into each other's lives really quickly and ask a question or help out or do a conference or shake your hand and I think I'm obsessed with the idea that is my life's mission, is to maybe just leave a large number of people just a little bit better than I found them. Maybe just do one or two things and then I'm better for that and hopefully they are too. And I can't explain it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I love the idea for sure. So, Rob, we have a question that we always ask the guests at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
If you could give only one piece of advice for traders in one sentence, what would that one sentence of advice be?
Stop learning how to trade and start making money. You already have a system that works. Stop avoiding it because it doesn't make enough and just start making the money that system can make you.
That's going to be really, really powerful. So, Rob Booker, thanks so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
I was so happy to be here. No, thank you very much. I'm so happy to spend some time with you.
So, guys, that was the interview with Rob Booker. And I really hope you'll take something out of this interview and apply it as soon as possible. As we say, it's good to listen to podcasts, it's good to have information, but you need to apply it and you need to put things to work. Because this is the only way you can do things better and you can improve. Now, to come back to last week's episode of the podcast, I told you I was flying on that day specifically to a new place. And although I'm recording this outro in advance, it's kind of breaking the whole punch here. I'm actually now to Shanghai, China. I'll be spending here the next couple of months. And I'll be trying to trade from here. The biggest challenge for me is going to be to modify a bit my trading habits. To trade the Asian session, which is my favorite, and the London session. I'll have to deal with trading while traveling, which is going to be pretty interesting. Nevertheless, I'll do my best with the academy that I've been putting out in the past couple of months to help traders and to make sure that people move forward and grow and achieve results. That's my biggest goal outside my trading. Podcast's still going to be going, and actually the next couple of weeks are already planned, and I'll do my best to bring diverse guests and make sure that you guys get the information you need to get results. So if you guys want to check out the academy, simply go on destined.com/join academy. It's all one word. And you'll be able to see the page where it describes everything about the academy. If you guys have any interest in it, or if you want to just learn more, reach out to me and let me know. I'll do my best to help you out. And if you guys are ever in Shanghai, let me know, and I might be able to meet up with you. On that note, I'll see you in the next episode of the Desire to Trade podcast, which is going to be highly, highly targeted to price action with an awesome guest. Ciao.
Thanks for listening to the Desire to Trade podcast. To get all the information on this show, free articles, and unique resources, make sure to check out www.desiretotrade.com and subscribe. Please leave us a review and let us know what you thought about the show. It's time to become the best trader you can be. See you next time.